Imagine waking up one day ready to start a war, and the reason? A pig. Yes, you heard it right. A pig. Now, let me take you back to the year of 1859, on the scenic San Juan Islands, where the British and Americans were as friendly as a pair of cats stuck in a bag. The tension was thicker than a bowl of Grandma's oatmeal. Now, here's where it gets absurd, folks. The whole kerfuffle started over a pig, an unfortunate swine that found itself in the crossfire, or rather, the cross-grazing. This pig, blissfully unaware of international politics, made a fatal error. It got peckish. The creature had the audacity to forage in someone else's potato patch. And what was the response? Nothing less than a shot heard around the world, or at least around the island. And so, the stage was set for the most bizarre conflict in history, a war for a pig. Yes, folks, the stakes were high, the tension was palpable, and the pork was, well, cooked. Now, you'd think that the logical next step would be a diplomatic discussion, or at least a sternly worded letter. But nope, they went straight for the military escalation. Picture this, if you will. The British, known worldwide for their stiff upper lip and love of tea, were prepared to defend their bacon, quite literally. They called in troops, their red coats a stark contrast against the verdant landscape of the San Juan Islands. On the other side, the Americans, a nation built on the principle of no taxation without representation, were ready to demonstrate that this sentiment extended, apparently, to swine as well. They, too, called in their troops, their blues and grays blending into the backdrop of the rocky shoreline. Now you might be thinking, surely that's it. A few troops here and there, a show of force, but nothing more. Oh, dear listeners, you underestimate the dedication of these nations to their porky pals. They didn't stop at ground troops. Oh, no. Warships were called in too. The Brits, in a move that can only be described as overkill, brought in 3 warships, their cannons gleaming in the Pacific sun. Not to be outdone, the Americans responded with their own warship, a solitary vessel that said, "We may be outnumbered, but we won't be outgunned." For weeks, the tension simmered, like a well-cooked sausage between these two nations, each side ready to pull the trigger, to fire the first shot, to start a war that would surely be remembered as, well, utterly ridiculous. It was a standoff of epic proportions, a sizzling situation that could boil over at any moment, all because of one unfortunate pig. And there they were, 2 powerful nations ready to wage war over a pig, as you do. So, how does one resolve such a high-stakes, pork-centered conflict? With a good old-fashioned arbitration, of course. Now, imagine the scene. You have the British and the Americans, 2 of the most powerful nations in the world, standing on the brink of war. And all because of a pig. Yes, you heard it right, a pig. Now step in Kaiser Wilhelm, the winner of Germany. You know, the guy with the impressive mustache. He was chosen as the arbitrator in this epic pork dispute. You have to wonder, though, was the Kaiser a pork connoisseur? Did he have a secret recipe for bacon that he wanted to protect? We may never know. Anyway, the Kaiser, in all his wisdom, decided to investigate this swine scandal. He sent a team of 3 commissioners to the San Juan Islands. Their task? To find out whether the pig was indeed a British pig shot by an American or an American pig shot by a Brit. Picture them combing the island, looking for pig clues. Maybe they were sifting through bits of bacon or interviewing distraught sows. It's a scene worthy of a Sherlock Holmes novel. The case of the murdered porker? Perhaps. After 12 long months of piggy detective work, the commissioners returned to the Kaiser. Their verdict? The pig was indeed a British pig, shot by an American. But instead of escalating the conflict, they proposed a boundary through the Harrow Strait, which would give the disputed island to the Americans. The British would retain the rest of the islands. The Kaiser, probably relieved to be done with pig investigations, agreed. Thus, the British and the Americans shook hands, or perhaps they shared a ham sandwich, and peace was restored. It's a testament to the power of arbitration, and perhaps a lesson that life's too short for pig wars. And thus the Great Pig War ended not with a bang, but with a whimper, or rather a snort. So, what have we learned from this porcine predicament? Well, we've had quite the adventure, haven't we? We've seen how a single, unsuspecting pig, just minding its own business, grazing on some tubers, can almost ignite an international conflict. The year was 1859, and tensions were sizzling between the British and Americans, all over one poor, misunderstood pig on the San Juan Islands. The absurdity of the situation is almost too much to bear, isn't it? A pig becomes the cause célèbre and the world teeters on the brink of war. But thankfully, cooler heads prevailed. No humans were harmed in the making of this historical event. The only casualty was our dear pig, who became an unexpected martyr in the face of escalating political tensions. And that, folks, is the story of the Pig War, the only war in history where the casualty was not a soldier but a pig, and the only war where the stakes were, quite literally, pork chops. Now, if that doesn't make history fun, I don't know what does.